Unit 2 final review. Identify the, okay, you got a bunch of XY coordinates, okay? -2, when x is -2, y is 5, x is 8, y is 6, x is 3, y is 12, x is 5, y is 6. You need to identify the domain and range and determine whether the relation is a function. So first off, your domain are your possible x's, your range are your y's, and these are a bunch of discrete points, so we're not putting less than's and greater than's and all that. So -2, 8, 3, and 5 are your x values. They're discrete points. Since they are all different, it's going to be a function, but you still need to write what the range is, 5, 6, 12, 6. You can have two different y output, two of the same y output. You can't have two of the same input. Okay, so on the next one, we have 9, 3, 4, 9. 6, okay, so we know this is not a function because two of the inputs match, okay? Two of the input, the x's can't match, two of the domains can't match, okay? Two of the ranges can, but not the x's. So then 9 and 9 repeated, that's not a function. But then the range, I want 6, 8, 9.52. Okay, easy enough. Next problem should be cakewalk. Suppose f of x, that's called function notation, equals 3x plus 4. Find the value of f of -2. Okay, here's all you do. You put equals, but you simply substitute -2 in place of the x. So instead of 3 times x plus 4, we now have 3 times -2 plus 4. So you multiply first, that's -6. -6 plus 4 is -2. They don't always, the input doesn't always match the output. You got to do your math. It's that easy. Okay, on the next 4 problems, you're writing an equation of a line with the following traits. To write an equation of a line, all these problems should be set up in y equals mx plus b form. You have to find the m and the b values. Okay. So m, okay, m means the slope, equals -2. And also in my equation, when x is -2, y is 3. So y equals mx plus b. And I have to find the m and the b. So m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Okay. Well, the m's given to me, -2. So I, -2x. Now you got to find the b and the y-intercept. It's not 3, okay? On a graph, if you go left 2, up 3, you're not on the y-axis. You're in the middle and nowhere, okay? So to find b, you always use y equals m times x plus b. Then you cross out the y, the m, and the x. So my m is -2, and I also know in this equation that if y is 3, well, x must have been -2. So I cross out the y, the m, and the x. Okay, so I replace those, the m, because I'm solving for b. So I got 3, then I write b down first, plus, and then what, -2 times -2, that's 4. Now you get b by itself by minusing 4. So 3 minus 4 is -1, -1 equals b. I want that put in the equation, and that's your answer. If you want to check your answer, you go -2 times, and then times it by -2, that's your x input, and then plus -1. So I'm substituting this -2 here in for x. When I click equals, I better get 3. I do. Okay, now I want the equation of a line so that when x is -1, y is -5. When x is 2, y is 10. So y equals mx plus b. So you got to find your m and your b. M is the slope, B is the y-intercept. Okay, now they didn't tell me the slope. So the slope, if I don't know it, okay, slope is rise over run, but I don't have a graph to look at, so it's y, it's the change in y minus y, over the change in x minus x. Okay, so I go over here. I start with the coordinate that has the higher x, so I got my x's here. I want to start with this one, so I put the 10 over the 2, And then after the minuses, you're going to put your -5 over your -1. So 10 minus -5, that's the same as 10 plus +5, and 2 minus -1 is the same as 2 plus 1. So I end up with 15 over 3. Now you divide those, and it's equal to 5. So your slope is 5. Okay, now b, y equals m times x plus b. You're solving for the b. So the other three variables have to go. So m is 5. Now for y and x, you can pick either point. Okay, we'll use the 2, 10. Y is 10, x is 2. So b plus 5 times 2 is 10. Then you minus 10 from both sides, and you have 0. You can get a b of 0, that's fine. You can write that, or you can just write y equals 5x. Either answer is acceptable. So if I want to check my answer, I'll go 5 times, and instead of x, I'm going to put 2 in, plus 0, it should be 10. Now, 5 times -1 plus 0 should be -5, and it is. Okay, parallel to y equals -5x plus 2, and then when x is 1, y is -4 in my equation. So y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Now this is how parallel lines work. Look, okay, they run kind of side by side, they'll never cross. Parallel lines have the same m, okay? So in this equation, I got y by itself, and I have m and b. I don't care what the b is, okay? I have to find my own b. But if their m is -5, then my m has to be the same thing. It has to match, okay? Then you got to find your own b, okay? So I also know when x is 1, y is -4, so y equals m times x plus b. So we know the slope of the equation is -5, okay? Then -4 is y, 1 is x. So b plus -1, 5 times 1 is -5. Then you add 5 to both sides. -4 plus 5 is 1. 1 equals b. Okay. So they have the same m. Now if you want to see if this is right, you take -5 times 1 plus 1. Should be an output of -4. Okay, perpendicular to y equals 2/3 x plus 7. Okay, perpendicular lines cross, and they form a right angle when they cross. Okay. On perpendicular, what you need to do is flip the m. The m's aren't the same, but they have a relationship, and you also have to make it the opposite sign. Okay. So that's y equals mx plus b. Okay, so their equation's there, mx plus b. I don't care what their b is. So their m, I have to flip it to 3/2. And if their m is positive, I have to make mine the opposite sign, so it'd be negative. -3/2. So b, y equals m times x plus b. So your m is -3/2. And then in your equation, when x is -6, y is 3. So I substitute 3 for y and -6 for x. Okay, so I take -3/2 times -6. That's going to be 9. Then you subtract 9 from both sides, and that's -6. Okay, the next problem says find the x and y intercepts of the following equations. I've given you every kind of clue possible. Okay, you're going to write that equation underneath both of them. You're going to need it twice. 2x minus 6y equals 12. No, you don't have to get the y by itself. You get the y by itself, you're finding slope. I'm not asking you to find the slope. So the x-intercept, we keep the x open, we set the y to 0. Because if a point is on the x-axis, it has a y-coordinate of 0. Now the y-intercept, we'll keep the y open, you set your x at 0. Because everywhere on the y-axis, you're in the middle of the x-coordinate 0. So substitute 0 in for y. What's 6 times 0? -6 times 0, it's 0. Then you divide by 2, and that's your x-intercept, so x equals 6. Okay. Y-intercept, now you substitute 0 in for the x, okay? 2 times 0 is 0. Then you divide each side by -6, and y equals -2. There's not more than one x-intercept because x is to the first power. There's not more than one y-intercept because y is the first, so it's all set up. Okay, we're going to do this again. Write the equation down twice because you use the same equation to find both your x and y-intercept. Okay, keep the x open, y is 0. Y-intercept, you keep the y open, x is 0. That's how that's solved. So if y equals 0, 4 times 0 is 0, so that term is taken out. And you divide by -3, and x equals -8. Okay, x is 0, substitute 0 in for your x, -3 times 0 is 0, and you divide both sides by 4. 6. There's only one of each because they're lines. Okay. Okay, now we're going to graph some inequalities, okay? First, you got to make sure the y is by itself, which it is. Here's my inequality. The y is by itself. So this looks like mx plus b to me, okay? So it's a line. So your slope and y-intercept. Slope is m, y-intercept is b, okay? B. So slope's 3. Slope is rise over run. Y-intercept +1. So you need to make your slope into a fraction, just put a 1 under it. So on the y-axis, that's the one going up and down, not the one going sideways. You're at +1, okay? Then from there, I go up 3, right 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, does it say equals? Is there an equal sign under the inequality? No, there's not that line there, so it is a dashed line. Okay? So you take your ruler and you make a line, but it's going to be dashed. Okay? Because every point on the line is what makes one side equal to the other. Well, they're not equal. So you basically take out the equals by making the line dashed. Arrows on both ends. Now, I gave you a clue there. You have to run what's called a test. You have to find all the true points and all the false points, but here's what you're going to do. Write that down there, 3x plus 1. Just copy it down. Now, pick a point. Let's go right 3 up 2. So that's 3 on x, 2 on y. Remember, side to side, your x, up and down your y. Now, replace your y with 2. And then put a times dot, take your x out, replace it with 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10. Does that eat the bigger number? Yes, so that's true. So you put a true over this point, a false on the other side. This side, any point I would have picked on that side is true, so you highlight that side, okay, of the line. Don't cross the line that you made, okay? Okay, now, next problem. Here the y was by itself. Here you have to get the y by itself. So y is multiplied by -6. First off, I don't like my y multiplied by a negative. We need to do the switch rule. We make everything, including the sign, opposite. So -4x, +6y. Flip the sign to greater than, and then +18. Now, you mark the 6 times y, it's now positive, that's good. You got to move your -4x out of there, so you're going to add 4x. Then you put a 0x over there because you can't add it to 18. 18's not times x, okay? So 6 times y, you guys can't put 18 first. You got to put that down first, 4x plus 18. Now you divide everything by 6. You're dividing by a positive now, so the sign's done switching. Now you divide. If you get a decimal, leave it as a fraction. Just put it 4 over 6. Because that's your m, and then 18 divided by 3 is 6 is 3. That's your b. So now you have your slope, and you have your y-intercept. So the slope's 4 over 6, the y-intercept's plus 3. Okay, so the y-intercept crosses 1, 2, 3. Then from there, up 4, right 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't have room to do it again, that's fine. Okay, there's my sign. It's not equal to, that's a dash line again. If the equals to there, it's a solid line. Okay, now you got to find what side's true, what side's false in an inequality. So you have this here, put where you ended up at. Y is greater than 4, 6x plus 3. So I'll go 4, 1. Okay, so that point I put, x is 4, y is 1. You can't get it mixed up. So 1 replaces the y, and then you have 4, 6 times 4 plus 3. Okay, so I take 4, 6 times 4, 2 2/3, then plus 3, that's 5 2/3. Now, this is my bigger number, and it's not eating the right number, so that is a false. So this point is false. So is every other point on that side. Across the line is my trues. Okay. Okay. So you got to do your test and shade. Okay, number 15. X is greater than negative 4. Now, I would get y by itself, but y is not here. Okay, we are missing the y variable. So what we have then is a constant graph. To graph constants, make a series of coordinates. I usually would make 3. That's what I did earlier. Now the constant value is negative 4, and it is for x. So all of your x's are negative 4s. Then y can be whatever, but keep it simple. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So I go left 4, up 1, back to the middle. Left 4, up 2, back to the middle. Left 4, up 3. Okay? Okay, it needs to be dashed again. Again, if the line's there, you make it solid, but it's not. Okay? Okay, test. It just says x greater than negative 4. So we'll go 2, 3. So all you got to do is put 2 in for x. There's no y. 2 is bigger than negative 4, so that's true. So this is true. Across the line is false. So you highlight the side that would have all the true points. Okay, number 16. Y is graphs the absolute value inequality. Y is less than or equal to 2/3 times the absolute value of x plus 4 minus 4. I'm giving you every clue here. An absolute value turns the graph into a V. You want to label it with A, H, K. So we obviously want to find the middle of the V, okay? And that is your vertex. Don't make 3 points, just 1. Opposite of H and K finds a vertex. So negative 4 is the opposite of H, negative 4 is K. Well, that's good. That's your vertex point. But now you got to use the A value as like a slope, okay? But it's not exactly like a slope. You go up to right 3, but then you come back to the vertex and go up to left 3, okay? So if it's negative, you go down, but you got to go right and left. So up to right 3, up to right 3. Now go back to the middle, up to left 3, up to off the graph, that's fine. Okay, now this would be solid because there's an equal to there, so solid V. Now you don't have to run a test, okay? The V is right side up, above is greater than, below is less than, okay? We have less than, so I'm going to be shading here. Don't cross the V. Okay, number 17. This is an easy problem. It says so. Sailboat begins a voyage with 145 pounds of food. The crew's supply decreases by 15 pounds per day. How many pounds did the voyage take if the crew has 25 pounds of food remaining at the end? It says days down there. Okay, so you got pounds and days as your units. The time is always the X, the pounds then is the Y. So the pounds per day is known as the slope, and we know that. We know that it's 15 pounds per day, but it'd be negative because it's decreasing. So if I know my slope right there, I'm going X, Y. X is days, Y is pounds. 0, 1, 2. Now before the 15, you got 145 pounds. Then you start adding negative 15. So that's 130, 115. We have to get 25 pounds of food. 25 question mark. Okay. So I'll make my line. Technically the line should go, don't write this, but technically the line would go down, but just for consistency purposes, keep it that way. Okay, so Y starts at 145, that's called the Y-intercept, plus negative 15 times X, okay? Okay, so 145 plus negative 15 times X equals Y. So you put Y equals 25. So 145 plus negative 15 times X equals 25. Now get the X by itself. You minus 145 and divide by negative 15. So negative 15x equals negative 120. Then you divide each side by negative 15, and you get 8. 8 days. Okay, next problem's tough. Okay. Not really tough, it's just more work than the last one. After 2 days of painting, 56 gallons of paint remain in the container. After 5 days of painting, 20 gallons of paint remain in the container. How many days of painting can we do with a full container of paint at this rate before it runs out? Again, this is days. Sorry about the copy job. So you have gallons and days. Days is X, gallons is Y. They did not give us the gallons per day, so you put M times X. So when you have M times X, you're going to make your table, but you're going to make it differently. Because there is amount of gallons per day, we just don't have it, okay? So days is X, gallons is Y. So you don't go 0, 1, 2 because you don't know what to add. You put a 0 and block it. Then 2 days is with 56 gallons. 5 days is with 20 gallons. Then this 0 gallons you put down here with a question mark. That's your answer. Now clearly we don't know where the Y started at, but it started higher than 56. We had more than 56 to start with, since after 2 days it's down to 56 gallons. You put B. So you're going to make your line, but you're just going to put B plus M times X. Now you got to find your M and your B. M is Y minus Y, X minus X, and B is Y equals M times X plus B. Okay? Then you'll write the equation after you're done with that. So here's my XY point. Start with the higher X. Put 20 over 5. You got to put higher, this coordinate on top, then 56 over 2. So that's negative 36 over 3, and that ends up being negative 12. So your M is negative 12. So you went down 12 gallons a day. That's what that is. So in the third day, you'd be down to 44 gallons, and so forth. Okay, solving for B. So B is negative 12. Then for X and Y, I'm going to go with 5 and 20. You can also go with 2 and 56. It doesn't matter. So 20 and then times 5. B plus, always put that B down first. Negative 12 times 5 is negative 60. Then you add 60 to each side, and you're at 80. So B is 80. You have your equation, so B is 80 and negative 12 is X. But you have your equation, okay? So 80 plus negative 12 times X equals Y. So Y equals 0. That 0 right there goes in place of the Y. So put 0 in for Y, and then you get X by itself. You need to subtract 80 from 0, which is negative 80, and divide both sides by negative 12. Negative 80 divided by negative 12. I don't like that answer. Hit second PRB, and it'd be 6 2/3. So it takes 6 2/3 of a day. So again, this one's a little bit tougher, okay? Then the last one's a scatter plot. The table shows the balance of a student's bank account at various times. X is weeks, Y is your account balance. So we can see it trends in a positive direction, so it's going to be a positive slope, okay? Graph the scatter plot, draw a line of fit, and write an equation of the line, okay? So this is weeks, and this is your account balance. You can just put balance. So we have to get to 9 on X, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now your account balance, okay, look up here. You want to start at 30 and go up by 20 every time. So you go 30, then you start adding 20s. That would be the most effective way. Since 30 is a little bit below 35, then if I go up by 20s, I'll know I'll get to 136. So 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150. Okay. Now you got to write the equation. Okay. Or shoot, first off, graph the points. So 0, 35. Before you do the equation, I need the points and then the trend line. 168, so 168. 3, 85. 4, 105. 9, 136, okay? Now, you can't hit every point. You take your ruler, set it on the Y-intercept right there, and just make a line that kind of trends with the points. It should be trending upward because it's positive. Different lines look different for different people, but everybody should be going up. Now write an equation. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, now m, that's going to be y minus y over x minus x. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 points right there. I don't care where you pick them, but they got to be close to your line. And make a little mini table down there. So right there, that's 385. And right there, it's going to be 405. Okay, so y minus y, x minus x. So put the higher x first with its 105. 105 over 4, 85 over 3. So that's 20 over 1. 20 divided by 1 is 20. Okay? So 20 is your rate of change. That means it's going up by about $20 every single week if you wanted to give an estimate. Now B, you have one of 2 options. Okay? Pick the one that works best. You could just look at the very first point. I mean, B is the Y-intercept, and that point's on the Y-axis. So you could use just 35 as your B. That's okay. You could also do y equals m times x plus b. So m is 20. 105 is y. And then 4 is x. So 105, b plus 80. Then subtract 80 from each side. And you have 25. So you can put 25 there, or you can just look at your plot and see the y-intercept and see that it's 35, okay, or put 35 there, okay. Now, there's no one right answer to these, okay. Different points look different ways.